Welcome back to another episode of Dungeon Hammer, brought to you by One Mind Syndicate. I am your host, Gersh1, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
Docile Creature.
And the Sound Alchemist.
They forgot the way who says what first.
Yeah, it's usually docile.
We both pointed at each other.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about how to play rogue. Now this is something that it's difficult, but at the same time, everybody kind of knows what a rogue does. It's almost as a staple character as a barbarian, as like a wizard,
Ranger, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How have you guys played a rogue in D&D?
Well, before we get started, I think the most important thing about a rogue is to know how to spell it. R-O-G-U-E.
No,
Sound
Rouge.
Alchemist, not
R-O-U.
Rouge. Not Rouge.
Like Moulin Rogue.
Yeah, Moulin Rogue. What was your question?
Well, forget my question. What is the best race to choose to play a rogue?
The beautiful thing about a rogue, in my opinion, is that the only real stat that you need to stack is Dex. And in D&D 5e, Dex is like a god stat. Like, it's super useful. So there's lots of races that give you Dex. And then the best race, quote unquote, would just depend on what flavor of rogue you want to make.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you want to make a charismatic swashbuckler type, there's a swashbuckler subclass, and you bump charisma. If you want to make the more book-learned type, you can bump intelligence. The really great thing about a rogue is, since all they need is Dex, all you need is to get that +2 from somewhere, or +1 if you want to get a feat, like with a human, and then you can customize it however you want. So as long as you get that bump to Dex, that's all that really matters. I don't think there's like a far and above there probably is actually a best goblin, pretty good. There probably is a statistically best race, but I think since it's so customizable and there's so many different flavors, anything with a bump to Dex is good.
Now let's talk about what are those archetypes that you can choose. What are the builds? What can we build, or what can we expect to build if we're going to be running a rogue?
So we got the classic, my least favorite type of rogue, which is the thief.
Least
why
favorite?
is he your least favorite?
Yeah, I feel like that'd be like everybody's go-to.
That's why it's my least favorite, because everybody wants to play the klepto thief who steals everything they get their hands on, and
That was literally Gersh1's first character.
It was, yeah.
But I mean that makes sense because you never played D&D before. Like, that's an archetype that people want to play.
And I was a Kenku.
Yes,
I always saw Kenku as somebody who's just like
it makes a lot of sense. Like, they want shiny
pests,
things and stuff like
pests,
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like, it's a really popular archetype, so people want to play it.
So if you do play that archetype, like what benefits do you get out of playing that archetype?
You get second story work, like you can climb buildings better and stuff like that. Like, let's say it says climb faster than normal. Climbing doesn't cost you extra movement, which is usually cost you half movement, and you got to make a check sometimes. And then when you make a running jump, you can jump farther, basically. So when you're jumping from building to building, it makes you a little more athletic, and so you can scale buildings. You can also use your bonus action, cunning action, which is something that the rogues get, to do a sleight of hand check. Dex. So you can pickpocket as a bonus action, pretty much. It doesn't come up too much because you're not usually pickpocketing in combat. Mm-hmm. But I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be pickpocketing, but that just came to mind at first.
But it seems like your huge advantage by playing that class or that
Subclass.
Yeah, is to like speed. Speed is your thing, right? Like
being
or
more
maneuverable.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe even stacking the tabaxi traits
That would
with
be good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Kenku, Tabaxi, those both like thematically fit to me because they seem like thieving
Like
and
a
like
cat burglar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And all you really need for that is Dex, which like most of these classes, all you're gonna need is Dex. But
Yeah, because Dex ties in with your stealth.
But some other subclasses that we'll get to kind of seem to suggest another stat. The next one is Assassin, another pretty typical. In my experience, if someone's not playing a thief, they're probably playing an assassin, because
It's badass.
Yeah, I mean, assassins are badass.
You're the edge lord.
That's the rogue in general, but it doesn't have to be that, which is why I actually really like the rogue. I used to not like them because they were all edgelord thieves and assassins, but they're so customizable, and there's so many different subclasses that are not that you can really play whatever you want. You get to assassinate. If you catch them surprised, you do a butt ton of damage. It doesn't come up a lot unless your party kind of lets you do it, I guess, or gives you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of parties don't do that, or if we're all making a stealth check, then someone's going to fail it. Or the assassin's not going to want to go into this castle alone and start assassinating, even though if you're an assassin, that's kind of what you need to be doing. And then the last one, like that one, it's Dex and whatever. Like, it doesn't really imply that you really need anything else. And the last one is Arcane Trickster, the last one in the player's handbook. And that's if you want to be the magic rogue.
So like the low-key kind of, I don't know if that really makes sense, because I mean he uses magic and like disguise self and all this stuff.
Yeah, it makes your mage hand invisible, so you can pick pockets from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you spells. This one I think you kind of need to put some intelligence in, because your spell DCs go off of intelligence. So you're basically like part wizard in that respect.
What I heard when I first started playing is that choosing that subclass would be the best way to go, because you get a good variety of like not only just what you can do for the party, but also just like role playing wise and having fun wise. It seems like the Arcane Trickster seems to give you more avenues.
It's a good way to.
You don't have to just play the assassin. You just don't have to play the thief. You can play like all types of things.
Yeah, it's well rounded.
Yeah.
You get magic, you get martial combat, you get sneakiness, you get the role playing side.
Yeah, and with the Arcane Trickster, that's another. Have you heard about that?
What about it?
Like, it's really cool because you could like steal other people's spells.
Oh, that's the high level. Yeah, the high level.
That was something
ability
that really caught my attention, but it's like you're never gonna get to it.
Unless
what is it, level 20?
I think it's like 15 or 17 or something like that. But yeah, it's really cool. Like, you can steal people's spells when they're casting them. I think
it's freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So like maybe if you are not starting from 1, if you're starting at like a higher level, that is something you want to go through.
If somehow you know that you're gonna get to a high level, then maybe plan on that, because it's a really cool ability. A lot of the rogue abilities at the capstone are pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, just be from enemies. You could like use it on like your party. Like, I ran out of like fireball. Oh, don't worry, I got you.
I never thought of it that way. I wonder if it.
So you can steal spell slots. Then you don't have to steal spells.
I think it's. I don't have it right in front of me. I think it's spells. Like.
Oh, it can't just be like.
I actually have no idea.
Okay.
So I guess if you were playing a rogue and you were only doing, and you knew you were only going to reach to like level 5, or if you thought that you would only reach level 5, what would you say would be the best option? Is it still Arcane Trickster?
Well, that's in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
In Xanathar's guide, there's more.
Oh,
A bunch.
Yeah,
like
I think
Swashbuckler.
3 or 4. Swashbuckler, that's the one where it's kind of more charismatic.
Scout.
The Scout, you're kind of like a spellless ranger. You get more extra movement, makes you a little faster, so that Tabaxi would be really good to combo with that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Inquisitive, which is you're kind of like the Sherlock Holmes Inspector type, which is something that you don't inherently think, rogue connects to that, which is something that I really like, that they gave the rogue a kind of different flavor that you can pick, makes you more investigative. And then there's the Mastermind, which is, I can see either you'd want to kind of lean into intelligence or charisma or wisdom. It could be any of them. Like, there's no inherent need to take any of them, but if you wanted to be a little more cerebral of a character, of a rogue, you're not just kind of like the street thug or whatever, you're actually like a mastermind, then you want to maybe dip into another mental stat.
So what does that buff in terms? So the Mastermind buffs what for checks?
It gives you you can do the help action at 30 feet instead of you can do help action as a bonus action, which basically means the next person to attack gets advantage, or you give not the next person, you give somebody advantage on the next attack, and they can do that as a bonus action instead of an action, which is what it usually is. So basically, you're coordinating the battlefield, saying, "Oh, attack him there" or whatever as a bonus action, giving you advantage.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert: this is actually what I'm playing in our next campaign, so you'll
You're
get to see
playing
that firsthand.
a what rogue? Mastermind?
Mastermind. Yep.
That's good. So, in other words, though, supportive. That's what kind of what
It's
you're
yeah,
trying
it's
to do.
very. This is a kind of battlefield support role for sure. You're not going to be in the forefront. I mean, you can probably still do some pretty decent damage, but using your bonus action to helping. If you have a paladin in the party or a fighter in the party, that like a champion fighter, giving them advantage every turn, meaning that they crit more often, they're going to be your best friend because they're going to feel awesome having advantage on every turn on one of their attacks. Barbarians, it doesn't really help all that much because they can have advantage every turn anyways.
With raging, right?
Or a reckless attack, yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's really good. So you're essentially the bra of the party.
The what?
The bra.
Yeah.
The support.
But I'm a push-up.
Oh, there you go.
I make you look good and I support.
Hey. Now, the thing about rogues that, I mean, you're naming all this awesome stuff, but, like, for me, they always seem very, like, lackluster when it comes to, like,
Damage
and like the whole spell casting thing. Like, to me, they seem very vanilla. Like, they hide in the shadows, they come out, they do damage, and then you're kind of stuck in combat.
So
What do you do to, like, mitigate that?
I think the rogue's strength is, I think they're capable of doing quite a bit of damage. If you can guarantee that you get sneak attack every turn, then, and plus combo with other feats and stuff like with crossbow expert or something like that, you're capable of doing a lot of damage. And if you go assassin, that's even better.
But it's just like a crazy explosion of damage, and that's it, isn't it?
Well, if you can sneak attack every turn,
Right.
then you're doing that every turn.
But so with the rogue, are you able to get out of close combat without getting?
Yeah, as a bonus action, the rogues get this thing called cunning action, and they can disengage, dash, and hide. I want to say as a bonus action, which is usually an action. So you can attack, and then disengage and get out of there if you want to. But ideally, if you're going to be at close quarters range or rogue, you want to be accompanying your big brawler guy, so he can kind of beef the hits, and then you come in and stab.
So then, with that being said, would it be better to have some kind of ranged capabilities?
Yeah.
So you can
another really popular thing is crossbows.
There you go.
With rogues, because you can sneak attack still, or bows, short bows or long bows. If you can get those proficiencies, if you're an elf, and you get those right away, and you can
elven accuracy. And...
Yep. But I think one of the real strengths of the rogue is they're skill monkeys. They get a lot of skills and they're good at a lot of things. So where they may not necessarily shine to you in combat, they're going to be good in out of combat situations.
Right, like climbing this, getting behind there, getting past the guarded gate,
acrobats, even like persuasion, deception, stuff like that. That might come in handy. So that's why I think they're kind of balanced. They're not. I think I disagree. I think they are capable of doing a lot of damage, but they're also kind of built to take advantage of all their skills.
And maybe we're just biased because the rogues that we have played with in the past, either they're not to the level that we think that they should be, or they just don't use their features as much as, you know.
Well, it also depends on the campaign. If the campaign doesn't have, like, a need for a rogue, then obviously they're not going to shine as much.
It seems, though, that, like, every single thing that you guys have been, or that Docile Creature has been mentioning, it seems like something that a party would need. Like, you are the scout. Not only that, but you're good in combat. You're good with like charisma and like just talking to people.
Yeah, you're like the face. You're the support. You can get us out of a sticky
You're capable
situation.
of all those things. You're not necessarily all those things all the time. Depending on what build, you are capable of being all those things. And especially because they get at level 2, they get expertise, so they get to pick 2 of their skills and they double their proficiency. Makes them even better at certain things.
At level 2?
Yeah.
Damn.
So would you say if you are somebody who's coming into a specific party or to a party and you don't really know the specifics of like who's going to be the tank, who's going to be the brawler, maybe doing rogue and then just seeing what the party looks like would probably be the best bet?
And this is another one of those classes that we always talk about that I think you can do a whole party full of rogues and they could be completely different characters. They're so customizable that you can make them so different from each other that I don't think they'd be stepping on each other's toes too much. So if you had 2 people playing a rogue at the table, that'd be fine because
They'd be very different.
they could potentially be so widely different from each other.
We've been talking a lot about combat, so then outside of combat, like role playing wise, as a rogue, what have you played, or what have you seen other people play?
Well, if you think about it in pop culture, Han Solo, that's a rogue. You may not
Really?
think about it,
Yeah, I did not think
but
about
he's a
that.
roguish person. He's kind of like
He's
a
a rouge.
swashbucklerish type. He's got the charismatic. He's a rouge.
Yeah, he's a ruse.
There's a lot of pop culture that you can kind of spin. And if you think about it, they're basically rogues. They have the charm. They got the stealth or the skills in some way. They have that air about them, I guess. Han Solo. I mean, what other?
Bridget B.
Of course,
I would definitely see her as a rogue.
she stole our hearts.
She's. I was gonna say that. Damn it, Joe. I mean, docile creature.
Yeah.
What other? Because so I mean, I think the stereotypical one too for rogues is Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So if you do play the assassin,
Yeah.
yeah. Another one, Batman. Like
Batman. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a really good one.
So you're good in combat, and at the same time you have that voice. Do that voice sound, Alchemist?
Hey guys, I'm Batman.
Batman.
That was very roguish, right?
That's Batman too.
That's intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this being a criminal walking through the alleyways. Where's Rachel?
Where's Rachel? Oh man.
Anyways, what else?
Now the thing about rogues that I really enjoy is how they can, like you said, they can be anything, but at the same time they can be nothing. They could sleep. No, really, like you can make a rogue that can literally be a different character every session.
Huh.
Like I'm not saying like change its stats wise, but like let's say, because you're so good at so many things, you could really be like the jack of all trades. Like, oh, today I'm gonna be the pickpocket. Tomorrow all the stuff I pickpocketed, I'm gonna give out to the public and make myself be like kind of like the Robin Hood. Yeah. So one session you might be the bad guy because like, oh, why are you stealing all this? And then the next session it's like, hey, you're the hero of the town.
Mm-hmm. Robin Hood, another rogue. May want to instinctively say he's a ranger, but he steals.
That's true.
He's a thief.
So yeah, so you get the most playability with a rogue. Then it seems more so than what we've covered in the past, because we've covered barbarian, we've covered warlock. It seems like the rogue you kind of have more, like you're not constrained. There's like the boundaries don't really exist. The only boundaries exist based on the subclass that you choose.
Yeah, where I think warlock was kind of the opposite. Like it can go a lot of places, but a lot of it is mapped out in the book.
Mm-hmm.
This one's more open-ended and lets you as a player kind of mess around with in your imagination, kind of create someone that you want to play.
Yeah.
What flaws have you guys seen by playing a rogue? Like, what are you weak in?
They're squishy. Well, see, they're not even that squishy. If they get hit, they're at early levels they're going to take a lot of damage, but at late levels you get things that like once a turn you can just half damage against you.
Just like that?
Once a turn, yeah. Use your reaction to half an attack's damage.
Once a turn?
You use your reaction,
No.
yeah, and you get one a turn. So that's really good, really defensive. And you get evasion, where if you have to make a dex save, if you succeed, you take no damage instead of half damage, and if you fail, you still just take half damage. So even then, rogues are really defensive. They're really agile and dexterous. But I think that's probably they don't have necessarily the AC or the hit points to kind of back that up. So if you're continuously getting targeted by attacks, you're going to go down pretty quick. So you're going to want to make friends with the healer, make friends with the tank, and make sure that they got your back.
Would you consider a rogue then more of a support piece or a leader?
What do you mean by leader?
So like somebody who, when combat breaks out, the party looks to the rogue, or when role-playing situations happens, they know they have the good checks.
Yeah, I think they're less of a leader in combat and more of a leader in role playing, I think.
Okay.
But it depends on how you define that in combat. Because if you mean like someone who rushes in combat and tanks everything, or decides how this combat is going to play out, I can see them necessarily being a mastermind, like the mastermind or something like that, can kind of shape the battlefield, and that they're giving people bonus action advantage or whatever. But they're not going to be the. I imagine not going to be like trying to draw the enemies towards them kind of thing.
Well, you could like because for example, we have a rogue in like the D&D campaign that we play in, and like her stealth, like sometimes she's rolling like a 30 on her stealth.
Yep.
So if you're able to draw the enemy away and then essentially disappear,
Oh sure, yeah.
then you could like either give that opportunity for the party to leave or to get in a better position to ambush, whatever it is you're fighting.
That's a cool mechanic. I never thought about that.
Definitely.
That person should do that.
Unless you want to fight, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes as a barbarian at heart, sometimes I just want to kill things,
That's fair.
and I'd be upset if that rogue took it from me.
Yeah. But it does seem like you do. Then you do work with the party and you coordinate a plan based on what your skills are.
Yep.
As a rogue.
Yeah,
So that's kind of cool.
I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I think of rogue, I kind of think of like a sinister person. Like you're more on you're more shady. You're more on the dark side.
You're edgelord.
Yeah.
And you can absolutely do that. It's kind of built with that in mind.
Mm-hmm. But like you said, like you could be like the Sherlock Holmes, and
Yeah.
now it's like
You don't have to, which is why I actually really love the class. First, I had a stigma against it because of all the edgelords or whatever. But listen, it's fun to play the edgelord, and I understand that that's why people do it. But it's also awesome that you can do other things.
Mm-hmm. Now you've played a rogue before, right?
Yeah.
What level did you get up to?
Well, to be fair, I was multi-class with monk.
Now, why is that? Because to me, it sounds like you don't need to multi-class with anything.
I think it's because I wanted to play a monk and I wanted to play Batman. I think I was more interested in monk. And rogues actually make a really good multi-class. Like if you just want to take a few levels. 2 levels get you expertise and cunning action, which is they're really good abilities. And it also gives you sneak attack at first level. So taking a little dip into rogue, which is what I did with that character, is pretty cool. Like rogues are good to multi-class, so keep that in mind if you just want to. Expertise is an awesome ability. If your character vision that you have wants them to be super good at a certain stat, and the class that the class that you pick doesn't reflect that, think about taking a dip. It's only 2 levels.
It doubles the proficiency, you said?
Your proficiency bonus.
Damn, that's crazy.
So first level it's +4, or because your proficiency bonus is 2, so
2.
it'd be 4.
Yeah.
And if you have your max stat, so it'd be +7. If you have +3 in that whatever ability that is.
That is very interesting.
That's level 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
have a +7.
And does that stack later on?
As your proficiency grows, so does that. That doubles. So once it gets 3, it's +6.
Wow. I am not soft.
That's good. That's what the rogue wants.
Not to be soft.
For you not to be soft.
Oh, so you can get into my fleshy parts.
That's right. Take all your goodies.
What other features of the rogue do you are unique to just that class?
You get your own language, Thieves cant, which I've seen DMs kind of flavor in different ways, whether it be literally a different language or just like a coded cipher that is injected into normal language, or something that I really like is kind of like hobo signs. Like you scratch a symbol on a door.
That's what I was thinking.
That people don't necessarily see, but a rogue will know to look for, and it'll say, oh, this is a good place to rob, or stay away from this place, and stuff like that.
Have you ever run a Thieves cant for a player? So like you as a DM?
I haven't.
No, okay. Because the big thing that I was thinking about in the Orc Codex, there are different signs that mean different things. It's basically hobo. What did you say? It was
Hobo language.
hobo
symbols.
language. Yeah. So I thought that would be kind of cool, but then it's up to the actual player. So I gave him a little like cheat sheet where he had the signs, and then I was gonna like throw in little hints of like, oh, and when you walk into this house, you see 3 dashes, one of them diagonal. Like you should know what it means, Or do you just straight up say, because you are, Thieves Hand, you know that this house means safe. Like, it's a safe house.
I think it'd be really cool to do the first thing that you said.
Yeah.
Just so that player gets to decipher and figure out what it means, and the rest of your players don't necessarily know. Because otherwise, you're just saying, "Oh, this is what this means," and the whole player
party
knows.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to be like, "Okay, do you see this?" Hand them a little slip of paper, and they get to pull out their little key and be like, "Oh, that's what it means." And then it's like, "Oh, I know something that they don't know because I have this extra language." Realistically, it doesn't come up that often, depending on what your DM, how much your DM uses it. But you have the DM has the potential to use it a lot and make it really important, and that would be cool.
Yeah, and that is when the situation of like a full party of rogues, maybe Thieves Cant is like a major part of your campaign.
If you have a rogue, your rogue can teach all the other players Thieves Cant.
That's true.
So that you have your own secret language that you can use, depending on how you use it. With hobo symbols, it would be less helpful to have that, but if that's ciphered code in language or even just a different kind of language in general, that could be kind of cool to have your own way of speaking that most likely no one's gonna know about.
For role-playing encounters, it would be fun if your rogue is teaching the entire party on Thieves Cant. It would be fun to sit down and be like, okay, like, you guys create the language yourselves. Yeah. What does like a certain handshake mean? What does a certain, like, if you guys talk about the weather, like, if it's sunny, it means that police aren't around. Things like that,
or even like you can even do just hand symbols. I read this book series called The Lies of Loch Lamora, and it's basically a thieves guild book kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they do that, like, little different hand symbols that they flash to one another to kind of secretly send information to one another, and it's just really cool. If you want inspiration for rogues, I recommend The Lies of Loch Lamora, and the rest of the books.
Written by.
But the good thing is that it's on Audible.
It is on Audible.
So you guys have a free book if you guys want to pick that one up. If you really
highly recommend it. It's really good.
Just remember, use the code audibletrials.com/OneMindSyndicate.
Scott Lynch. That's who wrote them.
It's definitely on Audible. Everything's on Audible.
The narrator's really good. That's how I listen to it.
And I chuckled a little bit because it seemed like the docile creature was throwing up gang signs.
Yeah, I'm doing those hobos or those secret hand signs.
Yeah.
Good for an audio podcast because I can do whatever I want.
When you're creating the backstory for a rogue type character, do you feel like most often it's tied to like a guild or like some secret organization?
Oh, that is true. Like, yeah. Whenever you think of rogue, you think criminal organization.
Assassin's Creed,
Assassin's Guild. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's when you think about playing Skyrim, there's the Thieves Guild and the Assassin's Guild. Mm-hmm. And rogue kind of puts it all into one. Like, you can do either one, or it's really easy to do that kind of thing. I would do it. Just because, and that creates a guild in your world that the DM can play around with too.
Right, and that actually happened with ours. Talia, she had her own guild, I guess.
Yeah, she was part of an Assassins group that splintered off, so there was two of them, and it just gives the DM more toys to play with.
Yeah,
which is always a good thing.
Always,
but really explore that, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean,
feel like we did that.
We did a little bit, but we could have gone way deeper.
Yeah.
And like with rogues, it's like there's always some secrecy behind them, and
that's another thing. Yeah. Is if you like secrets, rogues are a pretty good way to go. Because I kind of visualize them as kind of secretive characters, like the edgelordy, like, oh, I don't tell. I work alone in the shadows.
I have a dark past. Don't ask me about it.
I'm a rouge.
That's also how I used to spell tongue, by the way.
You used to spell tongue rouge?
Well, Tounge?
Yeah.
Tongue.
I was a horrible 5th grade.
Was? You spelled rouge.
Like, get me out of here.
More than once.
I'm going to use my roguish...
Smoke bomb.
Yeah. Being a rogue, what does that give you for like starting equipment? You get like lock picks.
Thieves tools. Yeah, that's another thing. You get proficiency and you get a set of thieves tools. I'm pretty sure, they're always useful.
Yeah.
If you want to disarm traps, if you want to open locked doors, pickpocket or open a locked chest, rogues are really useful to have.
Yeah. It's really cool because like as a rogue, you want to go out there and open up all these chests, but that's what mimics are for.
Exactly. That's how you punish a
rouge.
a klepto in your party that's a little too handsy, or make a super deadly trap that they couldn't disarm or whatever, or or if your party isn't in the habit of looking for traps, you can really punish them for it by sending their pickpocket or the door opener 30 feet down into a pit.
And then now they have to save them.
Yeah. Yep. Or just leave them.
Yeah. That must be horrible. I think that's worse than just killing a PC. Like just leave them there in a hole or something where they can't get out.
Well, the cool thing about that is
D&D. You'll be able to get out.
And it's the party's decision, right? It's not the DM.
Yeah, I guess.
I made a trap where that fell and a metal thing closed down on top of it, so it wasn't easy to just throw a rope down. They still managed to get out. It's D&D.
There's always a way around it.
Exactly.
Especially if you're a rouge.
A rouge.
What would you say is the rogue's weakness? Because you did say it was the squishy, but then you completely countered that. Well, so what is it?
I think it's still that, because like I said, if you get targeted by more than one attack per turn and they hit you, it's going to be rough.
So you're not like a standalone character. You need help.
Yes.
And at the same time, though, you can provide so much help, but not to yourself.
Yeah, you're very support both damage-wise in combat and in role-playing scenarios.
So in other words, like it's definitely a class for a beginner, you would say?
Yeah.
Because of so much, like you have skills that you can perfect. And if you don't really know what D&D is, and if you're trying to explore the different avenues, the rogue lets you do that, right?
Yeah. I can see it being a lot because you're good at the skills, you're good at combat. I can see that kind of can potentially be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But I think new player can handle it.
The rogues sound really good.
Let's all play a party of rogues.
I want to do it so bad.
Oh, wait, we're going to have a podcast on how to run a full party of rogues in the next couple of weeks. So subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, so you guys can check that out. Yeah.
For sure.
Now, what we need from you is to comment down in the comment section below. If you guys have played a rogue, let us know why you enjoy the class. What race did you play? What build did you go with? And if you have any suggestions for other type of classes that you guys would like us to create a video about, please comment down in the comment section below. And we'll talk to you guys in the comment section.
Yeah, because with all these videos, as soon as I watch these podcasts, I'm like, wow, I really want to play the barbarian. Oh, and now the rogue seems really great. So it's a great way to expand your horizons.
Definitely. If you've just kind of written off a certain class, I'll never want to play that, you're probably wrong. Mm-hmm. All these classes have something to shine, except for maybe the ranger. But,
but even then, they got updated with like the UA stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So stay tuned for how to play a ranger.
Updated UA
next week. I'm just kidding. Next week is not that. It won't be for a while because rangers are supposedly not good.
Suck!
I played a ranger. That was my first class.
We didn't really play though.
No, we didn't.
We didn't really play.
I played a ranger too. It's. I mean, you can make any class fun, but you just got to try a little harder for the ranger.
A lot harder. But yeah. Rangers, not as good as rogues.
Rouges.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you guys in the comment section then.
This has been the Sound Alchemist.
Docile Creature.
Gersh1.
And we are out of here.
Oh, I did the